Hi, Mike.
Good afternoon, Doc.
So this is the first in a short series of short videos about AI support for software development. Each of the videos, they're not comprehensive at all. The intent is that they're sort of idea setters that give you the idea of how this works and enough detail, and they'll point back to much more information in web pages on my site. So we want to start out with chatbots because that's something probably everybody has some experience with. And so just seems like a good place to start. So chatbots, lots of claims that they make software development more productive, and there's some counterclaims that they actually slow it down. My own take is that chatbots can be very effective in making you more productive as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you understand code. You've written lots of code yourself. The AI chatbots can be a big source of aid and assistance. I like to think of a chatbot as being a member of an agile team. So I'm the team lead, and the chatbot is the whole agile team. And so we start out and give it a spec, which is a prompt, and it goes off and does. And so this is a spec for a sprint. It goes off and does that. And comes back with documentation. You can ask for revisions or accept it as is, ask for more documentations or whatever. And then when you're satisfied with it, go on with the next prompt. So you're doing a second sprint that's adding functionality to your first initial base. So I think that's a pretty decent mental model. And you know, if you're the team lead and you don't know how to write software, this is not going to end well. You know, if you have real deep expertise, then it can be a big, big, big help.
So
Now,
it's really a matter of knowing what you want and being able to interpret what it gave you so you can make those
yeah,
choices. Yeah.
I also think there's another mode in which somebody who's a complete newbie, doesn't know much, they need a computer engineering or computer science background, but if they're given that much, if they want to learn a new language, it's a great way. Using the chatbots are a great way to do that. So, but as far as software development productivity, it works if you have a lot of domain expertise yourself and a lot of professional background. Okay, and so we'll use them to do things like writing unit tests for existing library. That I don't have the patience to write idiomatic tests with high coverage.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to turn that chore over to chatbot and say, write um, test code for this library. Away it goes and does it.
Yeah.
You can create small analysis tools. I've done a bunch of those. Uh, we'll talk on a later slide about AI agents, and the AI agents are really tools, small tools, but the tools may have nothing to do with you know, coupling with an AI. The tool may be just a tool that does something in
Yeah.
on your platform.
Mhm.
Find and explain bits of code syntax. I do this all the time. I've been writing software for, oh God, I can't remember how long. I wrote my first C++ program in 1988 when the Tech came out with the first compiler you could actually afford. Uh, so, but there's, areas of syntax I don't remember. Or, when a new version of C++ comes out, there's modules or concepts.
Yeah.
I don't know all the syntax for that, and these AI chatbots are perfect for that.
Yeah.
And so on. So each of these videos is going to describe to you some AI facility. This one focuses on web apps. A later one will focus on AI agents, one on AI consoles, and there's a final one in the sequence so far on AI skills.
Yep.
And the intent is that each of these just give a fairly high level description with a link back to a web page that has much more detail and one example that illustrates, this is how it's useful.
Hmm.
So all of the code-centric AI platforms, OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, have a minimum of three ways to interact with the AI, the large language model. You can do it with a chatbot, which is the focus of this presentation. The chatbots can't read or write from local repositories. They can't read code from a GitHub repository, but you can paste code. You can paste a zip file, or you can paste a code text at the end of a prompt. Agents are local applications, and so they can communicate with code in the local repository, and they also are set up to communicate with a large language model using an HTTP API, messaging API. And a console, kind of like an agent, but you don't have to write agent code for it. You just use the console.
Yeah.
So chatbots, they're browser-based. The chatbot application provides you with a menu of things you can do, an input area where you can inject a prompt, and an output area where it displays the results. The chatbots use uh, when you make a prompt, it sends an HTTP message with a payload. I think it's normally a JSON payload with a prompt information. The AI churns on that a bit and then sends back a response as a stream of tokens. It's a token stream that are sent to the output area of the web page. And so you'll see it. You'll put in prompt, and then you'll see stuff to wander down the page. This new input keeps scrolling down the page. It's just because you're getting a token stream from the LLM.
Mhm.
They use a containerized, pre-trained large language model running on a Linux server in some data center, some remote application. Lots of infrastructure between you and them.
Yeah.
And the prompting and responsing are based on an HTTPS communication infrastructure. It's based on HTTPS,
Mhm.
HTTPS.
Mhm.
So it looks like this. Here's your browser, and you're looking at it, and uh, you type in a prompt, and that gets wrapped in probably a JSON payload and sent to the LLM, and it's containerized on a Linux server somewhere. It thinks about it a little bit, and it sends back a token stream back to you, which appears in your screen, in the output area of your screen. So the chatbots have the limitations that they cannot read or write from local repositories, and they cannot read files from a GitHub repository. They can read metadata from GitHub, but they can't read files. And that sounds like a very, very strong limitation. Oh my gosh, if I can't if I can't read files, how do I tell it about my software stuff? Well, what happens is you can paste code text at the end of the prompt. And in fact, you can paste a zip at the end of the prompt, and the local web application, the chat application, JavaScript running in that local chat application is smart enough to unzip it and do whatever it needs to with it. Send those, tokenize the files and send it to.
Yeah.
It's basically just sending the text in an HTTP request.
You're talking specifically pasting it into the query string and letting the application handle parceling it out to the LLM in the background.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't have to play any role. You just say prompt and paste at the end. Sometimes I'll tell it, you know, I've pasted the code at the end of this at this
Yeah.
prompt, or I've pasted the code below. But you don't have to do that. It's smart enough to figure out if you pasted a zip there, it'll understand what it needs to do.
And the neat thing is it seems to understand the context once it receives whether you prompt it specifically or not, it does pretty well at figuring out the context of what's there, doesn't it?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Does a great job. And so it comes back and writes those results to your um, terminal screen, your browser screen. It writes those results back in here.
Mhm.
But that doesn't do you much good unless you can get your hands on them. But you can ask the chatbot to download those results to the local download repository. And
Mhm.
you can ask it, download them in a markdown file, download it as a JSON thing, download it as text.
Yeah.
You tell it what you want. And it's built into that application. There are commands that are built into the web application. The web application doesn't know when to call those commands, but it has these commands as resources. And what happens is that once you've gotten that string, if you say, upload this as a PDF, the LLM sends back a response with file commands that tell the local web application to create a PDF and then download it.
Yeah.
And the browser knows how to download. We all
Right.
use it a lot. So
Right. Yeah.
works really nicely. So
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
So here's an example of size and complexity of code functions. So here's my prompt. Generate a list of function line counts and complexities for all functions in the zip file pasted at the end of this prompt. And here I'm defining line count is the total number of lines, including the code, white space, and comments. Complexity is the total number of open braces in each function. It's a nice little approximation of a very complex concept of complexity.
Yeah.
And the AI generated a list of all the functions with correct line counts and correct complexities for a Rust thread pool.
Cool.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, and I made the comment here that a Rust is easier to parse than C++. It doesn't have all the context dependencies that C++ does, and it doesn't support function overloading, so it's easier to parse. Would this have worked as well on C++? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me that it didn't work quite as well, but I haven't tried it, so.
Mm.
But, I think if it didn't completely work, you could do a secondary prompt to help it along.
Yeah. Mm.
So here's a partial code and analysis. So here's my thread pool code. It just does stuff. This is written in Rust, and I'm not going to explain the code to you, but you see there's a function new, and it starts here at line 34 and ends here at line 56. And sure enough, here's the new function starting at line 34, and it has 23 lines. Hey, that computes. And, there's a function weight down below. You don't see it here, but there's a weight down below. And all of these are correct. I checked them manually and they were all correct.
And this tabular format that you got back, did you prompt specifically, or did it ask you, did it provide
I
that for you?
did. So it sent me back a JSON format. And
Hmm.
I said, reformat this as an HTML table
Hmm.
that has fixed layout and uses column group width styles.
Yeah, yeah,
And don't give me, it likes to give you a whole document so you can try it immediately. I said, don't give me a document, just give me the table
yeah,
because I
right,
wanted to paste it into my website, my
right.
webpage. Okay.
But it just goes to show how easy it would have been to generate comma separated and pull it into Excel and show some
Yeah,
graphs.
yeah.
Really nice.
You
Yeah,
can see how much time it saved you. Wow.
sure. Yeah,
Uh, isn't that cool? But
yeah,
I had to know that that was important. I had to know that this was a good way to define sizing complexity.
yeah.
And I had to, so you really need some background expertise.
Now, in the next videos, you'll get into a little bit of the agents and the consoles and how you can get around the probably some token use when you upload that zip file, right? There's some
Yeah.
alternatives that
Yeah,
are
we'll hear about some of those things in later videos. So
sure.
that's a
Great.
teaser to egg all you viewers on into looking at some of the later videos.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So you can find all the details here in this chatbots.ai page on my website. It's a link, and so if you pull up the PDF, you can just click on the link, or copy it down and paste it into your browser, whatever you want. And then the next presentation works with AI agents, and the one after that, AI consoles. And then there's a fourth one, a skills presentation that I hadn't done at the time I made up this presentation. So, but they're all available to you. If you go to my website, you'll find any one of those pages, you'll find a link to the PDF, the ones that we've been looking at, and a link to this video, each of the videos so that you're
Great.
looking at. So, all
Excellent, Doug.
right. So that's it. So until we meet again in another video, sayonara.
Great. Thanks, Doc. See ya.
Okay, bye.